the other reason like I kind of feel like I haven't really made that decision to get married is like I'm torn between just doing a Western kind of wedding and the traditional African wedding is for a very long time I dismissed the tradition. I was just like, I don't want you to pay dowry. I don't want a man paying dowry for me. I'm not a property. But having last year since we moved here is like I've attended I've attended two ceremonies and they're so beautiful, the dowry giving, and so there's like this aspect was like, oh my God, like, do I want that? But then like, what does it signify? Like, what's the significance of it? What does it signify? Like, what does it show like for me? And so I think I'm sitting with that question of like, what kind of wedding, if I want to get married, like what kind of a wedding am I going to have? Is it going to be a Western wedding or is it going to be a traditional wedding? And if you pay dowry, like what am I saying about myself?
Right.
It's
Well,
like,
also, but there's a couple things with that, right? So the dowry is, I have, like we've talked about this. Like we have issues with the idea, and even like at your cousin's wedding, like he made a joke afterwards, like I just bought myself a wife, and he's like, haha, it's just just joking. But there is a bit of like where there's a joke, there is always some truth, and I think the other thing is that as people have explained it to me is that it's actually a way of honoring the parents of the bride, and like you've raised a good daughter, you paid for her education or whatever, so I'm kind of like paying you back. It does put a weird imbalance.
yeah, and for those who like maybe watching this and they're like wondering like what are these people talking about, is like I come from a community in Kenya where once you get married, you should, before marriage, you pay dowry first.
Yes, and you don't only pay dowry first, but you continue to pay over time, because dowry is, in the Kikuyu tradition, is 99 goats, I believe, right?
Yeah.
But you're actually never finished paying those off, and nobody pays it all up front. It's all over time, and so there's this thing. But then also they say, oh, is like, you also want to do that because the parents paid for their education, or also girls traditionally don't actually help take care of their parents. It's something that's put more on the men. But in your case, you've paid for your education, or you borrowed from the federal government to pay for your education, and you've created this whole life for yourself. So in some ways, the shifting of what dowry means doesn't actually even make a whole lot of the reasons for it when you go back actually don't almost apply anymore.
In today's today, yeah, they don't apply.
You didn't have a brother, so you were the child who helped take care of your other sibling, take care of your mother. Those are things that would normally fall on the eldest boy, but it fell on you, and you took that responsibility.
Yeah, but so I'm sitting with that question, like, do I want to follow through? And if I don't, I have uncles and aunts who are like, will feel like, oh, why is she not doing it? So.
Well, you actually have an uncle that said, like, so it was really fun. When I first got here, I was invited to a couple of wedding ceremonies. And in one, I was invited into sort of the inner sanctum room where the negotiation happens, like how much you're going to pay. And it's this whole like kind of beautiful little ceremony that used to be kind of back and forth, but now it's cash. It used to be always goats, and now you have to decide how much a goat is worth. And then once you know how much a goat is worth, now you decide how many goats. And there's a lot of back and forth. And actually, at some point, I should make in the show notes, I'll put a link to a couple of the videos from like the way that like the groom's family gets invited into into the compound of the bride's family, because the bride family hosts and they cook a meal and it's beautiful. But you can't just go in; you have to sing, and and then there's always like some gifts or money that's passed before they'll actually open up the gates and let everybody in. So it's really kind of beautiful. But I was in one of them. Your uncle's like, we invited you in so you can see how it works, so that you know what you're in for. And I hate to say it, but I had this kind of sense of just like, it sounds so bad saying, but it was like, here's this like white guy from America, and we're like, ooh, like we're gonna take him for all he's worth. Like Cera is a beautiful woman, and she is going to be expensive for you. Like, we're gonna have a serious payday.
Having to say that is like, you are in luck, because I feel like my how much I'm worth is depreciating since I'm getting older.
Yes, that's right. And I fully plan on using that particular argument in our negotiations. I mean, like, are you kidding? Like, I have another idea. How about you pay me for taking this woman off your hands?
That is not going up.
No, you don't think that argument's going to stand?
No, that argument is not going to stand. Anyway, so that's not a huge reason, but it's something that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, like, how do we do that? We keep talking about it, and I also don't know how, like, you know, I want to honor the tradition, but I also feel like tradition very often is there without really being thought of what does it truly mean today. So we've like talked about different ways of doing it, or how we're going to feel comfortable in a way that actually blends the old with actually also saying that the old way in and of itself just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
You know?